Hey guys, and welcome back to NTom and Volk's Spot of PC. We've been on a bit of a break for the past month, so today you're going to get 3 episodes of Spot of PC. Oh, we spoil you, so we do. And we're going to kick things off with a look into a genre that we haven't really covered on Spot of PC before. This is Hidden Folks, a hidden object game. At least that's how Wikipedia classifies it. It was created, or developed, by Adrian de Jong and Sylvain Tegro. Oh, these are very German-sounding names. And apparently Hidden Folks is a women... I'm going to have to reach into the depths of my soul to pronounce this. Wimmelbirch video game, which is essentially a hidden picture book. So think Where's Wally / Waldo, and you're kind of grasping what, you know, Hidden Folks really is. And Volk, what made you pick this exactly? It's not something I would have ever thought of to cover on Spot of PC.
Well, actually, I have to be honest, I found this when I was watching some NerdCubed videos and thought it looked really interesting, and since we haven't really covered a game like this in Spot of PC, I thought we'd give it a bash over here as well, so we can kind of add our own thoughts to it and kind of talk over about what the game is all about. And it is essentially one of those hidden picture books, but animated with a bit more added challenge and charm thrown in as well, just to make things more interesting.
Sorry, I was just thinking of fucking Where's Wally, one of the books where, well, one of the pages in a book where it's just like everyone is wearing a red and white striped shirt. It's like, oh, fuck this, I'm gonna go read Famous 5 or some shit.
Funnily enough, that is exactly how I felt when I got to that page. I was just like, nope, I'm done, and just walked away.
Oh, I loved Where's Wally as a kid.
Do you ever watch the TV show?
I did, yeah. It actually incorporated the puzzles into the show, which I always thought was pretty neat.
It was a pretty neat little show. I always remembered the little intro. Where's Wally? It's so catchy, and I still remember it clear as day, even at the ripe old age of 29.
Oh, you're getting old, mate, you're getting old. But let's move back to Hidden Folks here. Very monochrome, aesthetically pleasing, I'll give it that. Maybe a splash of colour could work, but that's not what they were going for. And I'm just assuming this, because I haven't played the game myself before, you gotta find all the things at the bottom to access the next area. No, I didn't read the text before it scrolled off screen, why do you ask?
That is pretty much exactly it. All the things at the bottom are the various objects and people that you need to find, and if you highlight over them, they'll actually give you clues as to where they are. So you can scroll around the screen and get a rough idea of where they are, but finding their precise location is up to you, and some of them may just be out in the open, but for some, you may have to click around a bit, since you interact with the environment as well. So you can prise apart some bushes to find something hidden inside, or you can press a lever somewhere or open a door and that will prompt things to happen. So they add extra challenge in there by making you actually interact with the world to find a lot of the things that you are tasked with finding, I guess. I think the black and white was deliberate for 2 reasons. The first one being, obviously, to add a bit more challenge, because you're kind of relying on what shapes and whatnot as opposed to just colours. And also, it's to do with how the game's art was actually done. It was all entirely hand-drawn on paper. And what they did was they hand-drew all of the scenes, they scanned them into digital images, and then they layered them in order to create the actual scenes. So this whole thing is completely hand-drawn. Even more interesting is that you may have noticed from the audio is that all the audio is actually made from the people that developed the game with their own mouths. So they like do all the and the and all that sort of thing. They all do that by themselves. But yeah, it's a very, very charming little game as we poke the snake in order to find the chicken that we were tasked with finding.
Okay, that's very adventure game-esque, if you don't mind me saying.
There are some really, really subtle and obscure ones that you really need to kind of think and scratch your head over. Luckily, they give you the ability to zoom in and out as well, so you can get right in there and check every bushel of grass, bush, or every crocodile that may have eaten the thing that you're trying to find, I suppose.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
But yeah, playing through this game actually took me back to those times when you were in school and you're trying to find video games that you can play that work through the filtration system of whatever your education board put in.
Yeah.
And So we're talking things like Newgrounds, Miniclip, G-Prime, that sort of thing. And it just took me back to those sort of games, because there are like a lot of point-and-click things you can play on those websites as well. And whilst this is still very unique compared to what I did play, it did bring back those sorts of memories. It's a very simple, relaxed, casual game, and you could spend hours just trying to find everything in all of the different areas. Of course, we're in a forest right now, but you'll have things that take place in a town, a city, there's desert that you can go through as well. You'll like go to music festivals and find stuff in there as well. So they take you through a lot of different places, and it really gives credit to the whole trying to use this simple art style and bring it out as best they can.
Yeah, like go to the convention level. Find man tipping fedora. Oh no. Oh no!
It's just like all of them. Which one is it?
Sorry, low-hanging fruit. I know, but what are you gonna do?
Well, I am eternal.
So what have you got left to find here, mate?
That would be the shaman hiding behind a waterfall, and there you go. There's all of them, and then you take a walk, and you get these little bits in between. They're not exactly the same way that the other gameplay works, but it sort of teaches you little things, like maybe you have to find a couple of things, or it may encourage you to interact with the environment a lot more than perhaps you're used to. Like in this case, we're just trying to create a safe passage for this wee person to cross over here. So we're just poking around everywhere we can just to lower bits of bridge or move things out the way. It's a very simple game, but it does a very good job of actually teaching you how to interact with the environment and to essentially try and put it into your head to not leave any stone unturned.
It's a nice interactive post-tutorial, if you want to get pretentious for a second, because it's teaching you to mind your surroundings and whatnot. And this is really inventive. It's like, it's not really a loading screen, but it's just like an interval.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It was pretty much just an interval, just to kind of keep your mind going in the right direction and keeping your head in the game, so to speak, whilst making it a lot less monotonous by varying it up just that little bit, just to kind of keep you interested.
You watch, a man with a gun is going to jump out of the brush at one point.
You gotta poke him like off the edge before he can take the shot. Just flick him. Boink!
Oh, you did it. You made it safely.
Well, you gotta go down the ladder yet, but
oh, jeez.
I'm pretty sure the ladder is safe.
The ladder is rigged with explosives.
Although I have to say, that's not a very safe way of going down the ladder. I'd just walk down the ladder like it was just a hill or something.
Man, I wouldn't touch a ladder. Jesus, I'm scared of heights as is.
I'm not particularly fond of heights either. I can deal with them to a degree. But if it's a height in an open space, just no. I'd rather just cower in the corner somewhere and wait for the whole experience to be over.
This is a very simple level.
Sometimes they give you like these intersections as well, which is not so much just about poking around everywhere, but it's more just to go, here's an idea of the sort of area you'll be going to next, and sort of like, here's the sort of things that you can poke around and see what's in there. It may be the thing you're after, it might not be. And it's also their way of keeping curveballs somewhat hidden, but saying, oh, you can dig around and find things. But
oh my god.
it may evolve it further, where you have to dig around in a certain place and then poke something else for it to interact with that spot, and then you get the thing that you need to find.
I think I've just delved into another layer of the Matrix here. Jesus, there was so much information bombarding my visual senses there.
It's that scene with the 5,876 Smiths in one scene.
Mr. Anderson.
The good thing about being me is that there are so many me's.
Ah, me.
And I'm just instantly reminded of all the legendary frog flash animations that they did on the Matrix. It's like, I got a pizza delivery here for a Mr. Smith. It gets turned into a Smith as well. It's just, thank you.
Don't you eat this pie.
Ah, yes, you are familiar with it as well. I am so happy that reference isn't lost on you. You have no idea. +5 friendship points for NTom.
So, is this all we're going to be showing off of Hidden Folks? Is it that simple of a game? Can we find Classy Jessie?
That is pretty much how it goes. Like, the game itself is very simple. You don't really need to explain all that much. But, you know, we got the quest to find Jessie. There's a Pikachu over there. that we also need to find.
Just when Pika thought he had escaped, I didn't get a chance to read that, but it seemed like an interesting backstory, some deep, luscious lore, as it were.
Yeah, some of the clues are pretty inventive on the writing side of things. So.
They'd have to be to get around the copyright laws.
Well, some clues are more obvious than others. Some really don't give you a lot of help. But others will sort of give you a very good idea of where you actually need to go. But there are others that are just so obscure that you think, well, that could still be anywhere. It's just that I'm just looking out for specific spots to check.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we're not interrupting all these people sunbathing.
I'm really starting to hear the mouth voices of the developers right now.
It was a very interesting yet cheap way to go about it, but I suppose it suits the overall theme that they were going for. Like, it was all entirely handmade. Like, they didn't borrow any assets or anything like that. All they used were their hands to draw and their mouth to make the sounds.
Oh, they should have hired me. There he is, Fat Pikachu. Oh.
This was like Pikachu after like the 15-odd years that he's been travelling around with Red, and he's kind of got the Hawaiian shirt on and everything, and he's got some stubble going on.
Oh.
Luckily, another thing you can do in this game is that you don't necessarily have to find every single thing in order to progress to the next level.
Oh, okay.
I believe usually it's like a third or half, depending on the overall difficulty of the area that you're in. But if you're sort of one of those sorts of people that don't like scouring every corner of the globe just to try and find everything there is to find, you could just go by getting about half of them, and then you can progress to the next area if you wish. So, if you're not necessarily the completionist sort, I think you'll still get quite a lot of enjoyment out of this.
Mm.
And that's something I think is really, really thoughtful, because obviously you want to make this game reasonably accessible for how relaxed and casual the overall gameplay is. You don't necessarily want to frustrate people too much because they can't progress, because they can't find this ant that's hiding behind a rock or something like that.
That's expert difficulty level.
Yeah, they're like the city levels especially are incredibly difficult. I had some real trouble with those when I actually got round to doing those in my spare time. Because of course with those you have to like check windows and open doors of all the various buildings, and then checking the cars as well. So sometimes there'll be animated cues where there'll be like a whole string of cars that will sort of loop across the screen, and you have to kind of look out for the right one there as well. So it forces you to kind of look towards things that aren't always present on the screen at any one time. So that's how it ramps up the difficulty, as well as obviously with the environment providing an additional challenge.
I'm just looking up Where's Wally books on like Google and whatnot. I'm trying to see how many I had. There's Where's Wally from 1987.
I think I may have had one or two, and I think that first one was one of them.
Well, it seems to have been the first one. Where's Wally Now from 1988, the same year I was born. Where's Wally The Fantastic Journey in 89. Where's Wally in Hollywood? I think I remember that one specifically.
Yeah, I don't think I owned that one, but I remember like renting out from the school library, you know, when they bring in that car that just has all the library books, and they just open up some shelves and set up by like the reception area or something, and you can just buy books for like 50p or something like that.
Dude, it's all about motherfucking book fair, or what is it, book club, where you have, like, a leaflet and you mark down what books you want, and you give the money, and then you get the books, and it's amazing.
That was a pretty fun time. I mean, I wasn't really much for reading. I mean, I had, like, my Wally books and my Games Master magazine subscription that I'm very fond of. And, I guess Animorphs was one of the other things I read as well back in the day. That was pretty much my reading material through most of my primary school years.
I had so many Animorphs books, I don't think I ever read one cover to cover.
I think I had like 1 to 8, but then by that point I'd gone to secondary school, and getting a hold of them proved to be a little bit more difficult.
You get to like book 60, it's just the guy morphing into like a cup or something. He's like, alright, you're really phoning it in now, you know?
But then again, you got that anyway when they brought in the changelings, when you watch things like Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Literally, this person could literally be a reflective surface. It's like, come on, what the fuck is that? Seriously.
Oh, I think we're beginning to delve into, like, nostalgia too deep now. So, any closing words on Hin, folks, before we wrap things up here? We decided to keep this episode short because, It's a very simple concept. Like, not to put the game down, it works, it's great, but I don't think that we could have gone, like, more than 15 minutes, honestly.
Not unless we fancy being nostalgia fags for 45 minutes.
Well, I could very easily do that, but this ain't a podcast.
Yeah, but this game is a very, very fun little distraction if you're just, like, poking around and using your eagle eyes to find things the naked eye cannot. It's pretty cheap as well. I think it's about £5 normally, so if you pick it up on sale, you might be able to get it for like £2-3. And for that kind of price for what you're getting, there's a lot of charm to be had. Obviously, the game gets very, very challenging later on, so you're going to be pressed for finding some of the smaller things later on, especially. But I'd wager you're probably going to get a good 6 hours or so, but if you're good, you might even be able to put that down to 5 and 4, but it depends on how you like this sort of thing. I guess if you're the sort of guy that sort of looks in the back of magazine for like those crossword puzzles, Sudoku, or word find things, you'll probably get a lot of enjoyment out of this. But yeah, that will just about do it, I think.